artificial intelligence. AI is the intelligence demonstrated by machines in contrast to intelligence demonstrated by humans and other smarter animals. AI is an approach to make a computer, a robot, or a product think like a smart human. In the last couple of years, the term AI has been popping up quite recently, and as well as in the headlines and in the news as well. Some examples of AI in our everyday life would be email filters in Gmail, Google Assistant, Pinterest's Lens AI tool identifies objects in images, Amazon uses AI to show you similar things you had seen before. Chatbots make it feel like you're talking to a real person. Music recommendations, maps and directions show you the fastest and the best route, and many more everyday life interactions that can be recorded count as AI in our everyday life. But the question here is, after robots like Sophia, Go players like AlphaGo, drones, self-driving cars, and machines smarter than the creators will be around us, would humanity prosper, or is it going to be the last invention of humanity as said by James Barrett? Let's find out today in this summit with the prominent people on the dais and proceed with the summit.
Xavier AI Summit is the first revolution. I request all the dignitaries on the dais to please come forward for lighting of the lamp. I feel extremely honored to be describing our chief guest for this event today, Dr. B. Krishnamurthy. Dr. B. Krishnamurthy is currently working as Senior Director and Group Coordinator R&D in IT in the Ministry of Electronics and IT, Government of India. He is responsible for promotion of R&D in the area of IT, CDAC, and Digital India Corporation, implementation of the Visvesvaraya PhD Fellowship Scheme, Information Technology Research Academy. Earlier, he was Group Coordinator for CC and BT, Cyber Security and Cyber Laws. During July 2012 to February 2016, he was holding the charge of Executive Director, CDAC Noida Center, on deputation from DETI. As the head of the Noida Center of CDAC, he is responsible for policy formulation, planning, implementation, and deployment of various R&D projects. He was awarded PhD degree by IIT Delhi. He is instrumental in the initiation of e-learning activities and contributed for the incorporation of Media Lab Asia. He also served as Executive Director, NILIT, erstwhile DOE-ACC. He was a member of Technical Committee and Project Approval Board of National Mission on Education through ICT, MHRD. He is currently member of Board of Governors, Indira Gandhi Technological University for Women, Delhi, IIITs at Allahabad, Kanchipuram, and Kurnool. Dr. Murthy's research interests include artificial intelligence, knowledge engineering, object-oriented design, and software-defined networking. He has published and presented more than 50 papers in various journals and conferences. I would like one XCOMP student to please hand the sapling as a token of love.
Now I would like to introduce our beloved Father Paul Fernandez, a Vice Chancellor of XUB. Father Paul Fernandez, a Vice Chancellor, has been a source of inspiration and encouragement for all of us. The evolution and growth of Xavier School of Computer Science and Engineering is aligned with Father Paul's leadership. XUB leaves no stone unturned to make our school a world-class center for research and learning. We are immensely happy and feeling blessed by your presence amidst us. Thank you, sir. Now, I would like to ask the fellow students to give the sapling as a token of love.
Today, on this special occasion of the first Xavier AI Summit, we are indeed fortunate to have Professor Sanghamitra Mahanti amidst us. Professor Dr. Sanghamitra Mahanti, the President of Odisha Bigyan Academy under the Department of Science and Technology, Government of Odisha, is the former professor and head in computer science at Utkal University and former Vice Chancellor of North Odisha University. Her fields of research are artificial intelligence, speech processing, image processing, natural language processing. Dr. Mahanti has 13 intellectual property rights on Indian language technology solutions. More than 170 of her research papers have been published in international journals and conference proceedings. Professor Mahanti has guided 72 students for their master's and PhD theses. She has been recognized, awarded, and felicitated by many organizations and institutions. The prestigious Samanta Chandrasekhar Award 2012 for her contribution to engineering and technology being one among those. Ma'am, it was our privilege and honor that the School of Computer Science and Engineering was inaugurated by you. It was under your mentorship and guidance the school got its existence. You always inspire us with your knowledge. A warm welcome to you, to XUB, and to this AI Summit. I request a student from XCOMP to kindly hand the sapling as a token of love.
Next, we have our beloved Dr. Priyadarshan Patra with us. Dr. Patra is the Dean of Computer Science and Engineering and the Dean of Research at Xavier University, Bhubaneswar. He recently served as a Chief Architect and Principal Scientist at R&D divisions of Intel Corp USA. Over the years, he created and led world-class research and development for servers, systems on chip, processors, and smart devices. He is an elected senior member for both the IEEE and the ACM and has held several leadership positions in technical communities such as the IEEE CEDA, Design Automation, and IEEE Communication Society, etc. He was fortunate to be recognized with several awards and fellowships including Intel Hero US, and Intel Trailblazer Awards. He serves as the founding chair of the Global IEEE System Validation and Debug Technologies Community, SVDTC, and the steering committee chair of the Intel Symposium on Embedded Computing and System Design. He has directly mentored technical work of over a dozen graduate students, many engineers and professors around the world through the years. He was recognized as NVIDIA's academic ambassador by Intel AI Group in the areas of artificial intelligence and machine learning education. We are glad to have you here with us, sir. Now I'd like to ask the students to give away the sapling as a token of love. Please give a big round of applause for sir.
There's a saying, what we learn with pleasure, we never forget. So let's enjoy this event. And by the time you leave this room, I am sure that you must be familiar with the knowledge of artificial intelligence. Now I would like our convener, Dr. Priyadarshan Patra, to come up on the dais. Come up on the podium, sorry.
Thank you, students. Good morning. Chief guest, Dr. Murthy, Vice Chancellor Fernandez, Father Fernandez, Professor Dr. Mahanti, and distinguished colleagues, scholars, and students, welcome to the first Xavier AI Summit. Artificial intelligence, its innovation has recently caught fire to become the hottest item, not only in the Davos gatherings, the G7 meets, but also at practically all the boardrooms of top tech firms and companies. So what has fueled this is the necessity to make sense of and leverage a constant and swelling deluge of data. As a matter of fact, by 2018, about 2.5 quintillion bytes of data was produced every day. And at the accelerating pace that we see, we will see that the growth of the Internet of Things and sensors everywhere. There are about 10 billion sensors already, and it is going to be only increasing. We will see a fantastic amount of data from which we can then extract intelligence. Over the previous 2 years alone, 90% of the data in the world was generated, okay, just in the last 2 years. If you think about the existence of humanity, the world, in that only two years could produce that much. You can imagine the age of exponentiation that we have reached. So the world of data and machine intelligence has seismic impacts, right? It affects society, education, policy, everything. As a matter of fact, all scientific disciplines would be impacted by that. So I hope we can clear some of the mysticism around artificial intelligence today and demonstrate how different fields and disciplines can work together, how they are connected by the fabric of artificial intelligence, and how this paradigm-shifting technology can spur interdisciplinary work among us. Today, we have also created a lot of networking opportunities and an interactive panel session for you in the afternoon. Most of all, I hope you all have a very entertaining, educative, and productive day with lasting positive outcomes when you leave today. Some think that this new AI may be the last invention of the humanity. Be what it may, let's have a fun ride learning all about it today. Thank you. And let's the students take over from here for the next items of the agenda. Thank you. I would like to invite our dear Vice Chancellor, Father Paul, to say a few words welcoming everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Murthy, for being with us today. And also Dr. Sangamitra, thank you for helping us and in many ways trying to move forward, having this conference and also the school. Dr. Priyadarshan, he joined us a month ago. He's been working behind the scenes till then, now as Dean. And in about 3 weeks, I asked them to put together this summit and they have done it. He has done beautifully. So let's give all of them a big round of cordial welcome. I just want you to know the little bit of background from here, why we have this. We are having or launching or starting, whichever word you like to use, MTech in AI here in the university. So also masters in data science, and also MBA in business analytics. Both the AI core and as well as the applications are in view. And as we start this new journey, and these are opportunities for students and others and future leaders to shape themselves in the world of new thinking on learning. Essentially, it's about intelligence. We need intelligence, but what we have is a deluge of data, as you rightly put. So what we need is intelligence. Every one of us needs it. The light to guide our paths and our journeys so that we contribute to humanity and to the world in better ways. So new AI is here. So also, I suppose, Psych AI is also part of it, or that's also here knocking on our doors, which is a combination of psychology and artificial intelligence. So also there are other things that are happening on the horizon. There may be education AI, ED which is also being developed. We don't know what are the researches that are going on in big centers of the world. And we are hoping we can create a center here which will also think about what are the new frontiers towards which we can move. Thank you very much. Enjoy this conference. The big speakers are here who will enlighten you. Engage with them and learn as much as you want. Wish you the very best. Have a great day. Thank you. Bye.
Next, as Professor Fernandez pointed out, this has been a marathon effort we couldn't have done without the fantastic support that my faculty and students have offered and my colleagues in the different schools. So I wanted to say a token of my thankfulness for that. But let me, it's my pleasure to invite Dr. Murthy to say a few words for our audience. Thank you.
Father Paul Fernandez, Vice Chancellor of Xavier University, Professor Sangamitra Mohanty, then Professor Priyadarshan Patra, Dean Research Computer Science, Xavier University, my dear faculty members, my dear students, ladies and gentlemen, a warm welcome to all of you. A very good morning to all of you. It's very nice to be here in this August gathering of so many learned people, and yesterday I had a nice stay in the Xavier campus there, in the city campus, XIMB. And yes, almost a decade ago I came here, and this is almost after 10 years I am again in Bhubaneswar city. So earlier, 20 years ago, we funded one of the projects of Professor Sangamitra Mohanty and the language technology. There I used to frequently come, at least 2-3 times I visited this place, and then we funded her project, and that's one of the good outcome of that research that she has done. So based on all these things, when she said that you should come here, and then Vice Chancellor requested me, so I could not say no to them. So that's why I came here, even though this is a very important month for us, year-end budget, financial year ending. We have to close all the budgets, all the accounts, all those in the ministry. And also elections are approaching, and many of the pressures from the politicians, from the government departments, all those things are there. Okay, apart from that, the term AI is very fascinating. In fact, for human beings, the day they have discovered that they can think they can do much better than any other animals, from that time onwards, human beings are thinking that we are far, far better than any other animal. So in fact, there are no other animal who can think, there are no other animal who can perceive and then imagine and forecast the things that are happening in the nature. Even for that matter, the idea of the existence of God has been created by mankind only. Only human being has created and coined the idea of existence of a God. No other animal will worship the God. Since morning, if they get up, they try to hunt for some food, and after that, if their belly is full with food, they try to play somewhere, do something, or hunt some other animal for tomorrow's future, or maybe later they can do it, or they want to survive themselves. They won't pray for, yes, God, mujhe bacha lo, somebody is trying to hit me. They will not do it. Human beings are doing that. This nature of humankind has tried to do some important things also. If somebody falls from 30 feet high and then still he survives, the first thing that he comes, God mujhe bachaya. I was saved because of God only. So this type of intuition that comes to mind, and the human beings also try to surpass the creation also. If the rose is only red color, why can't we create yellow roses? And human beings did succeed in that. If the trees are only 30 feet taller, can I have just a small tree also? I can put it in my drawing room. Yes, people have succeeded. So like this, so many crops, so many things, so many animals, new animals created, all those things are creating. And surprisingly, ever since they have created this computer, and even the automation when it started, and human beings started creating thinking machines, talking machines, ever since in the 18th century onwards. So the AI term, AI is not the new things for the human beings. It has been for the last 2000 centuries. But yes, fortunately, somebody has coined in 1955 in Dartmouth University, when they are having the summer conference like this, they want what we should call this new term for this. They have coined in 1955 the artificial intelligence. John McCarthy has coined that. And from that time onwards, many people are trying to create how to mimic this artificial intelligence, so-called, the creation of a human being, separate human being. Yes, there are so many attempts out there, there are so many ups and downs. Each time they started this, the expectations from the other human beings and other people have gone up very high. So they do not understand, or most probably the human intelligence and human common sense knowledge, they just underestimated, and machines can do even much far better they were. Just simply the number crunching effort of the computers, they overestimated and then say that the computers can do anything. Just one or two things I want to tell. Just take an example of, I am having a pen in my pocket. All of you could not see the complete image of the pen. Okay, you have seen only first portion of it, maybe 2 inches, 3 inches of a 9-inch pen. But all of you, the moment your eyes attracted this, immediately you thought this is a pen, you can use it for writing. But none of you could imagine that it is only the cap of the pen, it is not the full pen it is. Or none of you would think about, it is not a pen, it is only a pencil. Or it is maybe a thermometer. Why you have not think of all these things? Why you have not thought that there is the remaining portion is also there inside the pocket? It is not the full pen, this portion. It is not the full pen, it is only this portion that you are able to see it. So the remaining things you have assumed through your common sense. So even though it is not there, obviously I am not a doctor, even the doctors also don't carry a thermometer inside the pocket. Okay, so this is the common sense that is there. So when you want to try to mimic this whole actions, we underestimate these things also. I'll give another small example. Suppose I request some of you, please close the door. Okay, please close the door. Immediately, without thinking anything, somebody, if you are interested to take an action on that, you will go and then close the door. But what are the actions that goes inside our mind? We never think of it. First of all, the moment you say that, please close the door, what is the voice that I have occurred from my mouth and how it has reached to you? And what does it mean? So, please close the door. Three words or 4 words are there. So, what are the gaps? Why it is the continuous signal that you are taking about? Why that gaps are divided and how you are parsing that whole sentence and how you are trying to understand that. So, this we never think of doing it. Suppose the same thing, if I want to give it a machine, there is at least 50, 60 actions are there along with that for doing a small action of please close the door. So, first it has to sense that word, take that signal, speech signal, convert into speech to text. That is speech recognition. Once it is converted into a text, you need to identify different words and you need to identify what is the meaning of each word. And after that, for each word it is there, then you convert into a sentence and try to understand it. That means you should know the language, you should understand what it is, what do you mean by please close the door. And after that, you need to convert into actionable points. That means from your present location to reach the door. You do not know whether the door is already closed or not. That is a different issue. So from the point where you are there, to reach the door itself is a few actions. You need to find out the optimal path to reach that place. There may be so many obstacles. And after reaching the door, and the door in which direction that will be closed, which angle you have to put, and how much pressure that you have to apply on holding the door handle itself, and where is the handle first, and whether you are closing the door from upside down or just closing like this. We never thought of all these things. So when we are trying to mimic a human being, a robot or a computer to do all these things, and it is only small thing of closing the door, it is very easy, even a toddler can do it. But for a computer, it is very, 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 very difficult task. So that is why each time when the new technology comes in, new algorithm comes in, people will try to overestimate it and then say that, yes, I can achieve it, and tomorrow you can do this. And this is almost the 3rd generation of AI which is coming in. And people will think that tomorrow people will not be having any jobs. You have to look for new jobs. All the computers will be doing your own job. So all these things will create hype around it. Unfortunately, the computer science is the area where most of the people create some buzzwords, and then that buzzwords will be getting very hype of it. A few years ago, people talked about VLSI design. A few years ago, people talked about big data. People talked about cloud computing, IoT. All these words are being coined by various I cannot use the word, various industry and the other business people to encash the words and encash the world to get more money of it. If I say that my program can do it, artificial intelligence today, and people will ready to pay a lot of money. If you say that it is a simple database program, it is a normal program, what you can solve the same thing, yes, people will say that, okay, it is not very expensive. I mean, nevertheless, that zeal of achieving more and more is imbibed in the human beings, a dil mange more. So when you want to achieve certain things, can I achieve something more? So that zeal of the human being will try to create or mimic more and more things. So that is the more of the things, not that AI will rule over the world and then whatever the jobs you are doing it will not. These technologies will help you to do your jobs in a much more efficient manner, much more active manner, much more productive manner. That is the thing that we should understand, not that it will create the job, it will lose your jobs or you have to learn something more. It is not that. And in this world actually, the change is inevitable. There is nothing in this world which is stagnant. Even the chairs today, after 20 years, you will see the same color and same will fade away. So even the human beings, whatever the business that you are doing today, you have to undergo a change after certain years. Otherwise, it will become, there is no life in that. So everything that you are seeing today has to go in a change. So these are all the changes which will come into picture. The good old very giants, industry giants of GE, where is that now today? And 10 years ago, there was no Google. Even though it was there, nobody thought of what is Google and what it can do it. But today, it is one of the biggest highly paid salary people or the salaried employees are there in Google. It is the highest paymaster companies. So one day, a few years ago, you have been seeing that all the PCs that you are working, Intel inside, that logo. So Intel was one of the biggest company a few years ago. Now it is going down. So like that, all these companies and all these brands will keep on changing it. Change is inevitable in this world. So this artificial intelligence which has come, yes, this is the third generation. Even in 60s, people have attempted it. In 80s, people have attempted. 90s, people have attempted. And again, 2000 times it is attempted. Yes, but there are technological developments are there. With the new other technologies which are there, the ecosystem is much more conducive than earlier attempts, so that we can achieve much more things in this new era of AI. Thank you very much. I will be covering in more details about what all the things that we can do, what are the attempts in various parts of the country, and what we are doing it from the government side, and how we are promoting this technology and for the adoption of AI in a bigger way in most of the academia, industry, and other stakeholders. I will be talking about this more into that. Thank you very much.
So we are getting ready to start the keynote, and we are going to set up the slides for us are there. And please go ahead and invite people.
I would request the dignitaries on the dais to please go back on the seats. In 5 minutes, we'll be starting the keynote speech by Dr. B.K. Murthy. Volunteers, please make sure no one goes out of the hall.
So this is...
Volunteers, please make sure no one gets out. The keynote session will be starting right now.
Right, the keynoter, okay?
Now I would like to request our keynote speaker of this event, Dr. B. Krishnamurthy, to come up on the podium to give his keynote speech.
Or in the government, what we are doing it, and in the country, what is going on. First of all, I think most of you heard about Digital India. How many of you have not heard about Digital India program? All of you know about Digital India, okay. just briefly touch upon, the Digital India is the world's most ambitious program, and digitization and digital adoption is the fastest in the world than any other country that India is adopting nowadays. So the pillars for Digital India is the broadband for highways, e-governance, Make in India, universal access to the phones, and e-Kranti, and digital skills, public internet access and participatory governance, digital payments. These are all the 9 pillars of the Digital India program. I will not go much into details of it. I will quickly jump into digital AI. This is the changing profile of Digital India. You have seen that more than 123 Aadhaar numbers are there. This is the largest database in the world today. This is the digital identity that you can get. Every human being today are getting this. And 118 crore mobile phones are there, 157 crores bank accounts are there, and internet users more than 50 crores. This is a little bit old data, in November 2018 data. And smartphones, there are 38 crores, now it is almost 50 crores. The social networking users are 25 crores users are there who are using this social networking users. So coming to what is artificial intelligence. So why we want to do it? To take this digital profile of India and exploit further for the betterment of the governance, we need to have more and more technological assistance is required. Technological support is there to take into an advanced mode whatever you are today. In order to get a better economy, we need to use new technologies. So that is where AI comes into picture. What is AI? It is nothing but deals with the design and development of computer systems that are capable of performing tasks that normally require human intelligence. In other definition, if you go by book, it is to make computers do things at which at the moment people are better. So whatever we are able to do it in a much simpler way, to make it is a computers to do the same job is artificial intelligence. So AI is not a single technology. It consists of more technologies, which is nothing but machine learning, natural language processing, speech processing, computer vision, and robotics. So the examples are learn the big data analytics and chatbots. And suppose if you are asking some expert some question, suppose legal expert, how he will explain to you. The same thing if you want to have it achieved through a computer, how you can do it. And transcribe the generate and then speech accuracy, voice bots, just like Alexa or Google Assistant. So identify objects, senses, and then do the image. That is through vision, how you can identify different objects. The example which I have given, the pen and the pocket. And cognitive technology or sensors, actuators, the IoT. So all these things will come into the picture of the technologies. It is not a single technology. It is a gamut of technologies all put together will provide artificial intelligence. So what are the big opportunities? How it works first, if you see on the left hand side, it recognizes images, it uses the learning side, the reasoning part of it, and learn from the experience and solve some of the complex problems and understand the language and its nuances and create perspectives. So this AI is not just one technology, it is multiples of technology. It is used in variety of applications, right from the entertainment to natural language processing to aerospace and defense applications or speech recognition, computer vision for healthcare or business intelligence or doing the data science, data analytics, and then providing logistics. All those areas, name anything, AI comes into picture. So as I said, 1950 onwards, people are talking about AI. So there was a paper about the possibilities of how the machines will do intelligence published in the Alan Turing, and the famous Turing test also came into that. So how if there are in the two rooms, one is in a machine and the other person is sitting on the other room, there is a commander who is giving instructions to both of them equally, and the job of the computer is to fool the other person who is the instructor to say that it is a human being. So that's where the Turing test started. And 1955, that first conference has started in summer in Dartmouth College in US, and where this John McCarthy coined the term of artificial intelligence. And then from there onwards, people have started developing various systems, and chess programs were already developed, and in 1990s, world chess champion Gary Kasparov defeated by the IBM's Deep Blue chess program, and then people have started various experiments. In 2000, yes, Apple introduced the Siri, MS introduces the Cortana. Like that, the whole journey is going on. In 2010 onwards, again, people have started. Just I want to tell you one small snippet in this. In 1955, when there is a lot of enthusiasm about this AI, and one Russian scientist, computer scientist, he wanted to say that if machine is so powerful, why can't I have the translation directly? He has taken the Russian dictionary and English dictionary and then put everything in the computer, and he thought that anything which is there I can translate into this. He has demonstrated a lot of things, and then somebody has given him a sentences, the spirit is willing or the vigor is not willing, something like that. Then it has been translated into the alcohol is very good, but the flesh is rotten, the meat is rotten. And after that simple failure, he has completely left computer science and he became philosopher. So that means people have created a lot of hype around it, and then suddenly if that is not successful, then frustration comes into picture. So we need to do it a little bit, what are the limitations of the computer and what are the limitations of the human beings, and how we are marrying these two together, and what are the best things in each of the part, and take those best practices and then try to encash them. That is a must that we have to do it. Okay, the investments have changed a lot during the last 4 or 5 years, and then in 2017, 12.5 billion people have invested, and last year it was 20 figure, and in next 2 years, 3 years, it will cross around 46 to 50 billion. And how people have invested in various things, most of the investment is in machine learning and deep learning and computer vision, around 3 to 5 billions, and visual agents, and then smart robotics, and then autonomous vehicles, natural language processing. So that is how the people have invested over the last 4 or 5 years. AI, yes, it has a very clear impact, economic and cultural and social, endless disruption, digital technology itself bringing a lot of disruptions. And yes, McKinsey has mentioned that 58% of the job roles will be changed in few years right now. So like for example, around 10 years ago, you will be finding the positions called stenographers. There are no stenographers nowadays, except in few offices like in government offices. I am having one stenographer in my office, like that. People who are still used to the good old days of how you are giving the dictation, how the people are sending the letters and correspondence, all those. Like that. So job roles keep on changing. So 60% of the job roles need to be changed in coming years. And rise of the robots, and then Elon Musk, artificial intelligence, if you are saying that, yes, in the science fiction, if you are saying that new people will come, and now the new term which is coining for the last 5-6 years is cyborgs, cybernetics organism. It is not the robot machines which are doing it, and how to implant some of these devices into human body and then make them superhuman machines. Or if there is some disability is there, suppose somebody cannot see, and how you can insert a small chip inside the mind, inside the brain, and make them to see. So some of these things people are trying it in most of the movies that you might have seen it, and some of the person in some implant was there in the body, human body. In one of the Telugu movie I have seen that, Dhruva is the movie, where you implant somebody here, and the villain can, whatever the hero is thinking and then planning, all those things he can hear through other person, through GSM signal, through IoT signals. So this IoT device transmits all the signals that you are talking and speaking, and then it will reach the villain, and then he can find out how the hero is planning for various things of his war. So those things are common which will be coming very near future. So as I mentioned that AI alone cannot do things. It needs a lot of things where IoT and big data are supporting AI for getting more and better solutions. Where in the physical devices and the lowest, bottommost are the edge devices or the IoT devices, where it will sense that information from the various objects and then transmit it to the nearest base station, where that will be collected. There will be a connectivity. Through connectivity, edge computing also will be there. Those will be processed and then sent into the centralized database, where that will be extracted, information stored, and then translate into the format that is understood by the normal databases which are there inside. So there you have various applications, and then command and control centers will take care of it, and then collaboration and process, and then provide the analytics. So IoT to big data to AI will come into picture. AI comes into the last stage, where using that data which are there, which will provide intelligent information for the processing. Okay. In international scenario, what is happening currently in US in 2016, they released 3 reports at the future of artificial intelligence. It was adopted in the government. AI is one of the important things for that. And very recently, I read about MIT has started a school of AI, one complete school on AI. China has next generation artificial intelligence plan. 2017 roadmap has come out. South Korea, yes, 4th industrial revolution. India also started Industry 4.0. And Canada started this. UK also spent around 17 million pounds in 2017 alone in 1 year, how to proliferate the research in AI. Germany identified AI as intrinsic into the Industry 4.0 initiative. Japan investments, yes, Japan is the first one. I think most of you might have heard about it. Some of the students may not be knowing. In 1985, they started this 5th generation computer system, which was started for 5-10 years, and after that they could not do it. And then they have started another ambitious program of speech-to-speech translation. That means if I speak in language of Japan, my choice, you should be able to hear online the speech of your choice. The language of your choice, you will be able to do it. So a lot of technologies are there on the phone. Yes, in today's effort, yes, it is possible. So AI research in India, to the best of my knowledge, it has started way back in 1986 when we have started the UNDP Knowledge-Based Computer Systems program. As soon as Japan announced that 5th generation computer system program, I was fortunate to be one of the first employee of this project in the government. And fortunately, I joined in 86, September itself, and this program started in November. So I was the first person to be picked up, and I was there in the signing ceremony as well. So then in 92 onwards, we started technology development in Indian languages, because translation of that one language to other language, because so many 22 languages, official languages are there, how this technology of the language, natural language processing will be useful for Indian languages, that is one, where Professor Sangamutara Mohanty also contributed for Oriya language a lot. And then perception engineering, how these things, we have started some of the programs in 2012. And 2015, over 300 startups are there during the last 3-4 years, and then Make in India progress and Startup India. And there was a lot of boost. Many of the startup companies in the AI today exist. Not major big giants have gone into AI, but yes, startup companies have come forward for doing this AI in India. I'll just talk about some of the current applications that have been deployed in AI, and currently you can see it, how AI can be useful in the industry. One of the important things very near to this region, we have done with CEDA Kolkata. So T grading, electronic nose, tongue and vision. I think most of you have heard about in the Darjeeling and then nearby Siliguri and those places where the tea estates are there. There are human tea testers. So what they do is they see the tea leaf, okay, they smell that, the aroma, based on the aroma, and then they prepare a tea, they taste it, they have to drink the raw tea, the decoction, what is there, without adding milk and sugar, they have to taste it, and after that they will grade whether it belongs to grade A, grade B, grade C. But over the years what happens is there are only few tea testers are there, but if you drink too much of tea over a day and next day it will become very difficult for you to distinguish between what is the aroma and other things. Your body is addicted to that. So there are human weaknesses are there. So how to grade this? This was a big challenge for the industry, tea industry. Then CDAC has come out with one of the solutions where it has created an electronic tongue and electronic nose. How it does? It will take that. There are sensors which are there. Aroma sensors are available. Now it is available in the market, but in those days, around 5 years ago, those were not there. They have designed one of the aroma sensor. Based on that aroma sensor, take the tea leaf and then put it in that, and it senses that aroma, converts into electrical signal. Those signals will be captured. Similarly, there is a dip machine is there. In that, inside the tea drinking what the tree is there, you put it in that. Based on that, it will test what is the taste sensors are there, that will be converted into electrical signals again, put into the computer, and then analyze these things based on the domain knowledge of the domain expert, that is tea testers. You can find out what grade of the tea is there. This has been now deployed in some of the tea estates in Darjeeling and then that area, northeast area. Okay, so same thing, because it is a very big machine, taking the desktop machine into the field, it's very difficult. So then there was a need for having a handheld device so that you can take it in the tea leaves, tea gardens, and then test it there itself. So there, has been created. It has a portable device with a graphics display, and you can get all the same thing. It is done in CDAC Calcutta. You can see that some of the people are using it. So how the machine vision can be useful for the rice and pulses. This is another system which was deployed in the Food Corporation of India when they are taking lot of grains, purchasing grains from the market. So you need to see, based on the quality of the rice, the price are fixed, like in mandis. So the quality of rice, here it is not the Parimal basmati rice, where based on just aroma and then size of the basmati rice you can fix the price. Here it is based on various parameters, whether it is broken rice, or a big one, or a red grains, or discolored, or damaged grain, chalky grain. So based on these things you need to find out. So obviously most of the people who are the farmers who are bringing into or the middleman who are bringing the rice into the market, so they will do a lot of things. For the sample, you will bring a good quality rice and actual delivery will be different. So now if thousands of bags are coming in, you need to distinguish whether all the bags are having the same quality of rice. It is a big challenge for anybody, and then see the whole bunch of rice, and then see each grain how it is, and you have to calculate how much of this quality is there. Based on that, you can fix the prices. So what this machine does is, the big container is there, collect that rice, and then there is a conveyor belt is there which will spread the rice into this, and there is a camera which will takes the images of the rice, each grain, and then based on each grain and then finding out its color, hue, intensity, and then size of the grain, you can find out whether it is a full grain or it is a broken grain. So based on the total number of rice grains which are coming out, and then after 1 kg of rice or 2 kgs of rice, when you are having a critical sample, you can find out what is the quality of the rice. So this was again deployed for the Food Corporation of India. It was adopted. Around 10 machines have been given to them for doing this. So Andarpan, again this is a very big setup. In an experimental lab setup, yes, it is fine, but in the field you need to have a smaller version as a desktop machine. So it is just on a tabletop, this machine is there, you take the rice from each one of the bag, around half a kilo or a quarter kilo, that is enough for sampling, and then find out whether the rice is the same quality that was promised earlier or not. So this is again is a tabletop compact conveyor belt, automated sampling spreading will be there, sample spreading also there. Once it is there, the conveyor belt distributes up to this on the right hand side. So similarly, but basmati rice, this quality parameters will change. It basically the size of the basmati rice and the aroma. So based on the aroma sensors, again they have created what is called a basmati rice sensor, how you can grade that. So machine system for the quality of the red chilies. Chilies are very important nowadays in the Indian markets. And again, chili grading, how you can do it. So again, the chilies grading will be done. What is the size of that tip of that, and what is the color of the chilies, and what is the width. So based on all these things, you can find out, and then you can find out whether the chilies of which grade it is, and then how it can be marketed. This also you can see some of these experiments have been done, and it is marketed also. So this is what chili machine, grading machine is there. And similarly, vegetables. This is another interesting. So whether the vegetables like brinjals, if you are buying from the market, so you will see that whether there are wholesome, the creatures are there inside it or not, whether it is spoiled or not, you will find out. So how to grade them based on just by seeing it. Again, computer vision is applied here to find out the quality of the various vegetables which are available in the market. And another important thing is sericulture. The silk is very famous in this area of Orissa and Jamshedpur, and then all these places, Bihar. So sericulture is again another important thing, and how to assess the color of the silk that is there, quality of the silk, the amount of silk which is there in the cocoon. So again, the manual process will take very tedious one. Only a few human experts are there, which are again the vanishing. Most of the human experts, you don't get these experts nowadays. So how to preserve that quality of this? So the process is very tedious and laborious. It required very specialized skills. By seeing the cocoon, we cannot identify what is the quality of that silk which is there inside. So the color characterization of tussar silk is the raw silk which is there. From these cocoons you will get it. And this is the machine where the color of the silk yarn which is coming out from the cocoon itself. Even before taking out the silk from the cocoon, you can find out what is the quality of it using computer vision. So what they have done is, this is a small X-ray machine which is there. The cocoons are placed there. Take the image from that X-ray machine and then convert, do some image processing algorithms, and then convert, and then you can find out from here on the left hand side at bottom, you can find out what is the cocoon which is there, and in that, what is the amount of silk which is already deployed in. So if the cocoon is already killed, and then if the silk is taken, and if it is just unmanufactured, the silk is there, it is a premature silk, then it will be of no use. So take that, before just taking the silk out of the cocoon, they will expose this X-ray machine. Using this X-ray, you can get out what type of silk that you will get it. Biosensor machines. This is another thing, is very, very important today. When you go to the market, when you are purchasing your, say for example, peas and other things, tomatoes and brinjals and some of the vegetables, you do not know what is the pesticides that they are using it, what colors, what chemicals that they are putting it in, and then when you come out of it, you do not know how many pesticides that you are eating and how much of the chemicals that you are eating on the covering of these, even the apples, the amount of the wax that is there on the cover of that. It is very difficult for you to identify it for a common man. And how to do it? Biosensing system will do that. What it does is, whatever the material that you do it, you don't have to do anything. Just take that samples, do some pre-treatment, put it in a little bit of warm water, and then obviously most of us will wash the vegetables before using it. So the washed liquid, the liquid, instead of throwing it away, you take that liquid and then find out what type of sensors are there. Based on that, there is a system has been designed to find out the amount of residual pesticide which is left into that water which you are going to throw away. So based on that, you can find out, and the chemicals which are there, chemical composition which are there inside. Based on that, you can find out whether the vegetables that you are eating are good to eat or not. So this is another system which has just completed the proof of concept. They are now trying to market it for this purpose. Another important thing, computer vision can do it. and we have designed with IIIT Hyderabad for the war people, and this is a sandbox environment. So if they want to have a war, so with various people, and then how the different machines of them can be planned for the war, and where it has to be deployed, how it has to be navigated. You might be seeing in the Kurukshetra Yudh, so how they have used the Chakravyuh. So similar to that, this is a platform and a table. You can find out desktop machine, you can find out how this you can plan for the war, and how your tankers and other things should be deployed in order to face the enemy. So this has again deployed in the Army Training School in Ahmednagar, and in Hyderabad also it has been done. So another important thing is for the medical, serious games for the disabled rehabilitation center. I think most of you might have seen that Satte Pe Satta movie, where that lady with the physically handicapped sitting on the chair, and then somebody comes and then throws a big stone. So it is coming down, and then suddenly she has to lift from she has to come out of that chair and wheelchair, and suddenly she becomes all right. So some of these things, stimulation by stimulation, these rehabilitation can be done. So how you can get this? AR, VR is the technology of today's technology which can provide it. So what it does is, it will have an immersive type of gaming thing. Suddenly a ball comes where a physically disabled person cannot move his hand, but the psychological effect of that ball is hitting him or her. It forces the person to mind to think about and then catch that whole ball and then drift it. So that forces, that stimulation in the mind will help in treating those patients. So this again, it has been deployed in various hospitals. This was just completed last year, and funding from us. And another important thing is today's drones technology that you are using it, and how drones can use it in the farmers. So in the pomegranate plants, how the drones can maneuver and then fly where there are obstacles are there, how to find out the shortest path and throw the drone into the field where the lot of trees are there, and it can count how many pomegranates are there, how many flowers are there, what could be the yield estimation from the crop. You can do it. So this again has been developed in IIIT Hyderabad, one of the successful project which has been completed very recently. So another important thing is treating of the patients with disability speech hearing. So you might have seen some of the speech hearing testing labs where the teacher will articulate some word, ka. So how your tongue and then co-articulation, the throat and other thing, how you will modulate. So they teach the students with speech disability and how to pronounce various languages. You might have seen some of the people cannot pronounce properly the ba or la, something like that. So how or va, the distinguish between ba and va. So it is not there. How to teach a patient or a person who has this disability. So the system has been designed where the teacher and in the same screen where the teacher and the patient will be there, both will pronounce the same language. The student will listen to that and then try to find out, articulate whether his articulation, co-articulation matches with the teacher or not. It can be displayed in the screen, and then the student will improve faster. This is treated for more patients in Oliver Jung National Institute for Hearing Impaired, and also in Mysore and Bombay, and it was tested that this system is more efficient in treating these patients almost more than 200%. So this again collaboration with IIT Bombay, this was developed and then deployed. Similarly, speech processing, the implantation that we have said earlier in the beginning, how you can use some of these signals to improve the speech enhancement of the persons with disability in the speech. Another important thing is machine translation. So we have developed it again in CDAC Pune with this technology, and this has been deployed in five years ago in Rajbhasha, in Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha. I think most of you might have seen some of the debates in Rajya Sabha where somebody will speak something and then he will ask some of the questions and deliberations will be there. So all these features, because of the different diversity of the culture and diversity of the languages in the country, each person, each MP is privileged to speak his own language. And how he has to be, when you are talking about somebody speaking in Hindi and somebody, it has to be translated into English. And other people also should be hearing. So all the debates of the Rajya Sabha is being now translated using this system. It has variety of domains which are there, like from administration to the technology, information technology, education, banking, all these domains, it will automatically translate and then displays on the screen what the other person is speaking. You can see the live demo of that, live usage of this system in Rajya Sabha. So, Anuvad Akash, English to Indian languages, again the same system is being deployed. So, I will not go into the details of how the system will work because it's too much of technical details. So, when you are taking an English language sentence, how you are parsing each word and how these words will have different meaning in different sentences, what is the word order, how all these things matters into the, it is a very complicated. Take that test and then try to find out the equivalent sequence in the in the target language where you are going to talk about, and then it will convert and then present into the exact process. But a lot of human intervention is also required because of the diversity of the languages and the veracity of the language that you are using it in various places. So, machine translation using deep neural networks is another one. This is used the technology of tensor flows. So, where if you are saying that one sentence, English sentence, that take that into convert into a tensor flow vector and then encoder using the sum of the hidden layer morphology and then convert into a decoder, and then finally you will get this translated word in the different languages. Shrutilekhan, again in Rajbhasha it has been done. It is a Hindi speaker independent continuous speech recognition system. That is, once somebody speaks some voice, so how to convert into a equivalent Indian language, the text. So Pravachek is another text to speech system. It is the opposite of it. If the text is appearing on that, and how you can convert into a speech. So, using these technologies, we have demonstrated in UK for the Commonwealth games. So, for 26 languages, speech to speech translation. So, there is a server along with the collaboration with Japan for 26 different languages. What we have demonstrated is that, so there is a common server, you have a mobile in your phone. So, this works in those days it worked for iPhone. So, in the speech, when you wanted some sentence, so where is Xavier University? So, you speak in English and you select the language where you want. So, and then that goes into the computer and into the phone, and it recognizes that signal and then displays on the phone itself what you have spoken. If it is correct, it will go further, it will go to the server, translate it to the, suppose if I select Oriya, so it will convert into Oriya language and it comes back on my phone and then displays in Oriya language itself, and then it speaks out what I am going to say, what is the meaning of that in Oriya language. So, speech to speech translation also has been achieved in this. So, cross-lingual information retrieval. Most of you are familiar with the web crawling and web searching. So, suppose if I want to search for some document, the document may be in English, or it may be a language of your choice, or it may be some other language. So, but you wanted that document to be in your language, say for example Orissa. How do I get it? So, we do not know whether it is in Orissa, it is in English, or it is in some other Indian language, or it may be in Odia. So, in that case, the first one talks about if it is in Indian language, input processing, take that and then search in English for documents first, and if it is there, output presentation, take that document, convert into a presentable form, and then if it is required, project that as an output in English, otherwise translate it to Odia and get an Oriya language output. Or if it is in different Indian language, take that, convert into a language which is Hindi, and then project it in Hindi. If he doesn't want, he wants only in Hindi, in Oriya, convert that into again in the translation of the choice and then present it. Or you can, if it is in the same Oriya document, take that, process it for display and then present it to the user. So this type of crawler has been done. Again, you can see that. So these are some of the systems that we have deployed and then people have developed it. This is very few. I did not even cover 20% of the work that has been done across the country. And we have funded most of the projects. Of course, this is because CDAC is under my control, administrative control. That's why presenting directly CDAC's work and some of the projects that we have funded, it is under my administrative control, all these projects. So that's why I have demonstrated those. Those many other attempts have been done, even in IIT Kharagpur and many other places. ISI Calcutta, yes, image processing, they are very good. Cryptography, they are very good. And IIT Kharagpur, natural language processing, they are doing it. Image processing, that they are doing it. IIT Chennai, again, they are doing a lot of work in that area. And IIT Hyderabad, they have a specialized AI lab and many other places. IISc Bangalore, yes, people have been working in this area. And IIT Bombay, like that, many other places that people are working in these areas. So, in a nutshell, what are the current AI initiatives in India? If you see the government, from the government, we are setting up a lot of centers of excellence in CDAC, Pune for this one, intellectual property rights, and then Center for Data Analytics in NIC, and then COE on IoT in Bangalore, and then IoT in healthcare in Visakhapatnam, IoT in Bangalore, and again in Vizag, Gurgaon, and technology in AI, robotics. So these are some of the things in the government side. And industry side, NASSCOM has a center of excellence in Bangalore for IoT, big data and AI put together. Around 35 to 40 startup companies are there, hosted there. And they charge very nominal amount for a startup company. Per seat they charge around 3,000 rupees or so. And they help in mentoring those startup companies also. And many of the IITs and IIITs and IIMs, they are all working in this. Faculty are doing a lot of research in this. And under my own scheme of Vishwesvaraya PhD fellowship scheme, there are 84 scholars who are doing the research currently, pursuing in various premier institutions. The research areas which includes, yes, drones, robots, 5G, electric vehicles, blockchain, 3D printing. So many of these academic people who are working across the country. And NGOs, yes, Tata Memorial Research Center for healthcare activities they are doing in the AI. And Wadhwani Foundation, which was inaugurated by the Honorable Prime Minister a year ago. And we have signed an MOU with them for healthcare and other activities. And Melinda Gates Foundation, they have done it. And then Obama Foundation also has doing a lot of healthcare initiatives. So mostly all these people are working in education, health, finance and self-help groups. So all these are the activities that they are doing it. So what are the major challenges in this? Capability, key expertise of high quality exists in Indian academia and R&D labs, industry, startups, but they are not properly networked. So most of these, even if IIT Kharagpur, whatever the research work it is doing, most of the industry around Kharagpur and Calcutta and this region, eastern part of India, they are not aware of this. So some of these things need to be networked with them closely, so that whatever the research results which are there need not be confined to labs only, it has to come out of the field ultimately. How much time I have? Another 5 minutes, second day? Yeah. Okay. So technology and platforms, lack of national platforms are still there. So a single platform where I can get complete information. For example, today if you see in the Google Canada.org, Canada.ai, so all the AI work that is being done in one single portal you can find out. So we don't have it. So now we have started that. We should have a single portal that we are creating from along with the NASSCOM and industry partners. So what is the proposal? We have just recently submitted a proposal for the government for the Niti Aayog and Department of Expenditure for this. We wanted to set up a national program on AI, where you have AI platforms, all mission mode projects which are of the government, they will also come, AI capacity building, academia, universities and industry how to train these people, okay, and how AI will use it for them. Awareness and communication. This is very important in these high-tech areas. So some of the vendors will come just to sell their products, and my system is capable of doing AI. What is AI? Nobody knows. And they say that most of the people, there is a myth that AI is a single program like your database, Oracle or something like that. And all the data is available in the government and social media and all those people. So collect the data, put it, that is a black box of AI algorithm, and then you put it, you will get the intelligence. So that is not the case. I have explained in the case of please shut the door. How many actions are there? How much of hard work that you need to do it for executing that particular action by a robot. So those things are underestimated, grossly underestimated. I would say that the intelligence, human intelligence, is not a single thing. So the proposal that we have, that we want to create various AI platforms, AI mission mode projects, and then AI capacity building, and academic, and then activities that we want to do it. So along with the academia, we want to do a lot of hackathons, some of the research projects, funding some of the research projects, some of the events, and then take that research projects into end to end, so collaborate with industry. So what we are planning is, instead of most of the researchers who are doing the research, we try to aim at solving some of the national level problems, those challenges, if the research students who are working or the faculty who are working on the research to attempt those national problems, and then network all such problems, put together into one product. That product can be useful by the industry for taking up. So priority mission areas: Indian languages, agriculture, health, education, finance, transportation, urban development, and cyber security. These are some of the things where we would like to focus on. So just before concluding, instead of giving conclusions, I will just leave some questions, because this is a keynote and then day-long discussions are there. So what would be the AI impact by 2030? 80% of the companies, and then significant job roles, would they change, or some of the companies would shut down? Yes, as I mentioned. Yeah? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. So whether is there any myth that we will be lost our jobs, or whatever we have studied today will be, by the time you come out of the college, it will be a waste? No, it is not waste, but you need to adapt your changes, make our magic. Like after the age of 40, most of the people will color their hair, change their dresses, change their looks. Most of the ladies, I should not say that, but most of the changes also, they wanted to change their appearances. Yes, you also need to do it. So change is inevitable. Okay, so you need to adapt dynamically what you want to do it. So if you want to yourself happy, everybody will be having some expectations, but those expectations may be met or may not be met. If they are not met, you should, instead of getting frustration, you need to aim for a change of it, and then deroute your some other path. That is the game. So next, what are the economic complications that are there? Sorry. And what is the social impact? I'll take it. This is the last slide, but this is more important for most of you to discuss further, think further. So what are the economic implications? How the economy of the country will change by adopting this AI? Or it is just a buzzword where everybody, this is a bandwagon, everybody goes after this? And what is the social impact? This is grossly underestimated. Suppose you are experimenting on drones. Yes, whether it is infringing on some of the privacy of somebody else. If I throw the drone up, and then it will take pictures of my neighbors. So how it will create? What is the ethical impact? Suppose I have created a driverless car. It goes on the road and then hits somebody. Whether it is the fault of the manufacturer, whether it is the fault of the programmer, or whether it is the owner, who is at fault? Who should be penalized for this purpose? Suppose you are driving a Honda City car, you don't sue the Honda person, right? If there is an accident, you don't sue the Honda guy, right? You will sue the person who is driving that car. If your driver is there, drivers will be sued, not you. But ultimately it is you are the responsible and you will pay the penalty because you are employed, he is an employer of you. So all these legal issues will come into this picture when you are going for automation. And then, is there any need for ICT accountability and ethical conduct and credentializing with equal professionalism? Suppose if there is a doctor is there and you have created a very good system for medical diagnosis, and suppose if the diagnosis fails, or if it is a false positive or false negative, if that is the case, and what will happen, and how you will take into account of the accountability, who is accountable for that, who is responsible for that. So then, whether the current workforce to be reskilled, yes, you need to get reskilled every time, and new job roles, issues related to privacy, and then legal issues. So these are all important questions that we need to take off. And for the last but one bullet, that is the reskilling, we are coming out with a new scheme for the people who are already employed in the industry to get skilled in this area, new area. Obviously, there won't be any good colleges, or they will not have enough time to go to the college and then spend them leaving their jobs. So those people who are working in the industry, having an experience of more than 5 years or 10 years, if they want to get reskilled in these areas, we are coming out an online portal, Future Job Roles, Future Skills is the platform where you can do it. Once you skill it, there is a government subsidy of around 10,000 rupees will be given for you to do the course which is there, and after completion of the certification, or 25% of the money. Because these are all the employees who want to have better employment for that. Because 10-20 years ago, you must be knowing, those who got I know C, or you have a certificate of Oracle in somewhere in the corner, you were getting H1B visa, and you will be getting a few good salaries. And even if you use how to test a small program, yes, you will be employed with a huge amount. But now what happens? People they could not be adopted to get new skills because of they do not have any foundation in computer science the way you have studied the computer science BTech course. So we never studied all the subjects that you are studying, but these subjects are new. So we have picked up over the years because of our experience. So this reskilling is another thing that we have started now. It will be announcing very soon. Already NASCOM has announced it. We are taking the same thing and then doing that future skills job. So those who are interested in these areas, you can get that treatment. Okay. Thank you very much. Any questions? I will answer quickly. Sorry, I have already taken time. Any questions? 1 or 2 questions, I can take it, depending on the time availability.
Yeah, we will have it in the afternoon for discussions.
Yeah, fine. Okay, thanks. Yeah. Thank you if I exceeded my time, but I'm very sorry. Yeah, thank you. Thanks a lot.
Now we have a tea break. Immediately after 10 minutes, we'll start with the panel session. All of you can go out. Please come back after 10 minutes. All of you can please go out and have some refreshments. I want the XCOMP volunteers to kindly come up here. For the UG students, the attendance has not been taken. So if you leave after the tea break, then you are absent for the day. Let me repeat it.
जल्दी असला candid. Okay, that's fine. जल्दी से बात हेलो
ग्लास
Is that unopened? Okay, you can just leave it here. I'll open this one. That's okay. Yeah, you can expose that. Thank you. Does this work? Does this pointer work? Right? No, I'm not sure. We are not sure if the pointer works, right? Huh? Oh, very light. Can't quite see. I'll leave it. That's okay. That's all right.
Would you like to work this one, sir? Shall we ask for this one?
Is that not so good?
Yes, you can stand here.
Ah.
And for that, you have to be there.
That's true. But that's okay. I guess it's okay. Let it. That's okay. I'll.
On or off?
Or if you connect it here.
Yes, you can.
Oh, mute, mute.
देखना है यार.
Hello? Yes.
Where do I put? it रखियो ना Hello? Hello?
All those sitting at the back, please come forward.
Hello? Should
Sir, it's coming, but you have to press it hard.
on the screen it's hardly visible, so it's okay.
काम नहीं कर रहे.
ଏଇଟା ଖାଲି ଫରୱାର୍ଡ ବ୍ୟାକୱାର୍ଡ ହେଇପାରିବ
सब हुई.
ହଁ ସବୁ ହେଇପାରିବ ଏଇ ପଏଣ୍ଟରଟା ଭଲ ଦେଖାଯିବନି ଦ୍ୟାଟ୍ସ ଓକେ ସରି when I speak everywhere ଟିକେ ନଜର କରୁଥିବ ପଏଣ୍ଟ ଫିଡବ୍ୟାକ୍ ଆସିଯିବ କି କ'ଣ.
Guys, please settle down. We'll be starting the next session in some time. People at the door, please be seated. We'll start the session now. All the students over there. All the students at the back, please come forward and occupy the seats. Please. All of you at the back. Okay, we are about to start the next session. I request Professor Ashutosh Mishra to come up.
Good morning to all. Now we are heading towards our first plenary session, and it is my pleasure to introduce our speaker, Professor Dr. Priyadarshan Patra. Dr. Patra is the Dean of Computer Science and Engineering and the Dean of Research at Xavier University, Bhubaneswar. He recently served as Chief Architect and Principal Scientist at R&D Division of Intel Corporation, USA. Over the years, he created and led world-class research and development for the servers, system-on-chip, processors, and smart devices. He has authored over 50 scholarly technical publications, 3 scientific books, and 10 USA and international patents, and other intellectual articles for the society. He has edited multiple technical proceedings and books. He is an elected senior member of both IEEE and ACM and has held several leadership positions in the technical communities such as IEEE CEDA Design and Automation and IEEE Communication Society, etc. He was fortunate to be recognized with the several awards and fellowship, including Intel Hero US and Intel Trailblazer Awards. He serves as founding chair of Global IEEE System Validation and Debug Technology Committee, SVDTC, and the steering committee chair of the Intel Symposium on Embedded Computing and System Design. He has directly monitored technical work over the dozens of graduate students, many engineers and professors around the world through the years. He was recognized as NVIDIA Academic Ambassador by the Intel and AI Group in the areas of artificial intelligence and machine learning. Passionate about the social development and volunteerism around the world, he has founded the Sustainable Economic and Educational Development Society, SEEDS. As such, over the last 25 years, he has worked on various facts and of education empowered through the multiple projects initiative in India. In addition to board members, service and leadership at various institutions as non-profit organizations, he has taught and mentored several students and institutions in USA and India. He holds PhD in computer science from the University of Texas at Austin, USA, and BE in electronics and communication engineering at Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. Please join me to welcome Professor Priyadarshan Patra for his talk on the new AI and its impact. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Ashutosh. Welcome back, everybody. I know I thought I should correct one slight mistake. When it was said Intel Symposium, it was actually International Symposium, not Intel Symposium. It's from, all over, it's a IEEE Symposium. Anyhow, so we had a very enlightening talk earlier from the Senior Director of Government of India. You saw many applications of AI and where India is focusing on. So I will basically walk you through with some maybe global perspectives, something about the technology itself, and a few other questions around it, new directions and stuff like that. Anyhow, so the AI, artificial intelligence today, is all over the place, right? Everybody says that they are doing AI. AI is in the headlines every day, pretty much. So take, for example, AI is used in, discovering drugs, new drugs. Take, for example, the ALS, that's a nerve disorder, also called Lou Gehrig's disease. It is a uncurable disease so far. About 140,000 people globally die from this disorder, okay? It basically eats away your nerve cells in your muscles and eventually might lead to paralysis and respiratory collapse. So doctors think that that is the toughest disease to cure. You might be surprised. Some doctors think that way, even more than cancer and other things. So where is the role of AI? So AI was actually applied to this field where, these techniques, the system discovered a drug that can now prolong the life of the ALS patient significantly for many months, maybe even years. A research group in Oregon, for example, found, their AI system did research on, the chemical and medical and biological databases, thousands and thousands of research papers in the area of genetics and, biology. And the system figured out that there are 5 other genes in our body that cause the ALS disease, for example. So that's a discovery. We are talking about a discovery that would have taken scientists' estimates many years for the humans to find. And now you have a system that we are creating that can help us with that. That is something to think about. Of course, there is always a debate, is it a bubble or actually it is a long-lasting thing that we are seeing here? That is a philosophical debate that will remain for a very, very long time. We'll touch on some of that. But let me give you another example that actually is similar to what Dr. Murthy showed you, how vegetables could be sorted for their quality and their freshness or what have you. So this actually started several years ago by, for example, a Japanese farmer, Keiko. They produce a large number of cucumbers in their farm. And Japan is a place where they put a lot of value on the shape and quality of their vegetables and fruits. I was told even a square melon, they make a square melon could cost a couple of $100. Imagine one melon that much. So you see how much that society places value in such things. So Keiko's parents had to sort all these cucumbers, I don't know how many tons of those, by manually, by inspection, which cucumber is of what size, what quality, and separate them so that they can get, values that are consistent with the quality they are giving in the market. That was so much work. But this person, their son, heard about the AI technology. He heard about tensor flow and algorithms, and so he actually designed a camera and a conveyor belt on which he could put all these things, take pictures. He got his mother to initially sort these cucumbers, about 17,000 of them, and took pictures. There are good cucumbers that the mother thinks are the best cucumbers, and those images he used to train the system using the publicly available techniques and TensorFlow platform to create a system that simply sorts, and now they don't have to spend all their time doing this. So and we heard today, India, there is some research being done about, rice and chilies, etc., how we sort. So it's really happening. Healthcare, there are numerous examples how AI is impacting in a positive way. We'll look at that. Hiring and negotiation. We have a lot of business professors and students here as well. You will see that even in the area of recruitment, they use now AI. Like there is a Cindy bot. For example, Cindy bot is an AI chatbot that can help the diverse candidates, meaning maybe women and those who are typically had the lesser opportunities in the past. It tells them how to negotiate a salary range, okay? And similarly, another firm has a AI app that will essentially eliminate the name, photograph, and the university a candidate passes, but all other attributes are there. That would be then passed on to the human interviewers or human recruiters, so that you are removing the biases that may be there. Of course, bias is a big word, by the way. It is a fairly interesting debate. Do computers, are computers bias free? Are we unintentionally or intentionally even putting biases in our AI systems? That's a topic for another discussion. So you see, there are numerous very, your everyday life examples like Facebook. It got dinged for, the US election, how the role of Facebook, etc. Now they are taking very seriously. They have used AI to identify fake news, and also, of course, Facebook has hired LeCun. He's one of the very celebrated scientists with the ImageNet and stuff like that, who discovered, and they are using AI to create so-called GANs networks, or generative adversarial networks. I will mention a little bit later, a little bit of that. Anyway, so the bottom line is the two headlines that are there in the bottom of the list. AI and automation are coming. We want it or not, any of us, it's coming. Now, what should we do? How do we face it? Do we embrace or resist, right? That's the question that we can ask. So I told you, we have a mixed audience. Some are AI experts, some are not. Some have very passing knowledge of it. So I wanted to tell a little bit about that. Essentially, AI is the cognitive abilities and the compendium of knowledge that a artificial system like a computer may have, so that it exhibits the qualities of human decision making, and where it is hard to distinguish between what the system is doing versus what a human would have done. Okay, that's a colloquial kind of a definition, but let's go along with that. If you look at the investments that's happening worldwide, there is a compounded annual growth higher than 50%, and they're expecting it to reach 57 plus billion in 2021. So it is a major economic force, if you will. And as Dr. Murthy mentioned earlier, AI has been there for a long time. But there is something new that's happening now, and some of that we'll look at it as we go along. And it was told correctly that AI is a group of technologies, right? So so it's a constellation of technologies that allows the machines to act with higher levels of intelligence, okay? And what makes them much more powerful is they're ability to learn from their experience and to keep adapting over time. So that's something happening. So, and I already gave you some examples of applications, and some of them new ones we'll see as we go along. But AI systems are something that you do not program. Somebody is asking me, sir, if AI machines have AI, who is programming it? So I explained to them that, the idea here is that the machine programs itself, okay? It learns. You do not do in the traditional way. So when AI revolution comes, you don't need to be coders. What a liberating thought. Not everybody of you has to study, computer science, C++ or whatever, Java or Python we teach. But, because the computers will do it. Of course, that's the positive spin. And you already know AI is going to impact jobs, right? You remember how in, just a century ago in England, it happened, the Luddites, when the paper mills came, they were doing by hand, manually, dresses, clothes were produced. Now, when the machines came, this group of people, for over 3 years, they went around and broke all the mills, okay? All the woolen mills, cloth mills. But remember, over time, that was completely forgotten. Probably not, very few of you know even what is Luddite, who are Luddites. But that was happening in England. And that technology that came about really changed. It created a lot more jobs. It created a lot more prosperity for us. So we have to be careful. There might be some immediate impacts, and change is a difficult thing, either in a human being's life or in an organization's, constitution. It's tough. But if we embrace change and adapt, we will be a bigger winner in the end. So, we should keep in mind. Okay, now I'm going a little bit, I'm becoming a professor now. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the taxonomy of artificial intelligence. So you have something called general artificial intelligence, okay? That's everything where, artificial machines are able to perform cognitive tasks that mimic the human's ability. And then machine learning is a subset of that, okay? Machine learning, the primary thing is that it is learning from data. That means it needs huge amounts of data. That is what big data connection I will show you, and you heard why data is so important. Data has to be good, data has to be huge, and it has to be appropriate, etc. So within that set of technologies called machine learning, you have something called brain-inspired, meaning there are researches that are happening that take their inspiration from how the brain works. That means a lot of neuropsychologists, neuroscientists are involved. Those knowledge we are replicating in machines, okay? And typically they break into two groups. One is neural networks, that's a very large group. And then there is spiking networks also. There are neural networks and then spiking networks, okay? Neural networks. And within the neural networks, of course, there are many subclassifications, but I'm pointing out the major subclasses. One is called the deep learning. Deep learning is where you have multiple layers of neural networks that are working either in a feedback loop or a feed-forward manner, and you are doing hierarchical reasoning about things, just like our brain. Later I will show you how the brain is built, where hierarchical processing happens in our own brain. So in that concept, I have written something WAI and SAI. The WAI refers to weak AI, okay, weak or narrow AI they call. And SAI is the strong AI or broad AI. There is a term some people use. So all the examples today that was mentioned in the morning, and most of the things that I will mention as well, fall under the weak AI, okay? The holy grail, that may or may not be achievable. Don't ask me. That is the strong AI. Strong AI is when you could have an inversion. Okay? What is an inversion? Inversion is simply singularity. When the machines would be more intelligent than humans. That's termed as singularity. That is, coined by somebody called Mr. Good, who was a, co-worker of Alan Turing, the father of computing. Okay. Anyway, that's for another time. But for this talk or for this workshop, if you remember these three things, you're doing very well. Those of you who are relatively new, one is what is AI, right? The ability to program, sense, reason, act, and adapt. Okay? And machine learning is algorithms that perform, whose performance improves over time with data. And then deep learning is something where it is multi-layered networks. That's all you need to know. Okay. So history of AI has been already mentioned to you before by Dr. Murthy. Here, simply, I don't want to go through all of those. Only additional thing I want to point out is that AI has gone through ups and downs, large ups and downs. Okay. There were times when everybody was ecstatic, exuberant, so-called irrational exuberance, okay, that you know about economics. So there was times of irrational exuberance about AI. AI is going to solve everything in the world. And there were times that we call AI winters, okay. So keep that in the perspective. If you ask me the personal question, I feel there is some change this time. Although you have to be careful, still people may be selling you things that dreams you need to be careful about. But there are, in fact, great scientific advancement. That I call new AI. That's my focus. Okay, moving on. You already saw AI breakthroughs. Some examples: image recognition and machine translation, okay? That is natural language processing, text comprehension, and even conversation. I think Dr. Karthik will, afternoon will tell us a lot about how IBM has come up with techniques where, machines can behave as if they are humans. They are carrying out a conversation with you, okay? So I will not steal his thunder there. Okay, now moving on. So this is a photo. I think it is near my home back in the US. It's Uber. It's the autonomous vehicles we're talking about. There are they have nowadays in the self-driving world you have ADAS or advanced driving assistive technologies. Okay, they are things that are helping in an intelligent way. And there are self-driving vehicles or self-driving technology which is entirely self-driven. It's like humans, they are doing the job, okay? I'm not going into the details and very interesting research that you could do, many components, how the LiDARs are used and whatnot. But we are not limited to just cars. We also have trucks. These are, they drive end to end on the national highways, and the last mile is done by your own human drivers or other, means of mechanism. This is actually done in Germany already, trialed there, and it's fantastic. You might be actually surprised. Some of you think that AI may be very new. It's actually not. For example, the airplanes, if you travel from, let's say, New York to Los Angeles, you know how many hours? Let's say it's like 6 hours non-stop, right? Only 7 or 8 minutes of that 6, 7 hours is really driven by a human being, your pilot. Rest of the time it is the, machines which are doing the job. They can even land and all that stuff as well. So it's amazing where we have reached from, the past. This is something probably you can tell what it is here. It's, it's a drone, but Amazon, right? I'm moving it a little bit fast because I'm not sure how much time I have. So bottom line is, it looked amazing, right? Something can come to your door with a flying machine by itself and deliver whatever you want, in few minutes of your ordering. Fantastic. So essentially, like Arthur Clarke said, any sufficiently advanced technology would look like magic. Okay? If you are not on the cogs of it, you are not inside, it will look like magic to you. Okay. How about this? Can somebody tell what's the nationality of this person I'm showing? Anybody has a guess? It is hard, right? But she belongs to some nation, right? We don't know exactly what it is. As a matter of fact, it turns out it's not even a person. Can you believe that? It's not a real person at all. It's created by a machine. Look how accurate that is, how you and I look. That's magic, isn't it? So it actually uses a technology called the generative adversarial network, where imagine there are two neural networks. They are in a zero-sum game, a game, from economics, some of you would know what is game theory. So the two networks, one is trying to locate the fake pictures. The other one is trying to fool the first network, okay? So if you use the technology, that is, there are two feedback loops there, you can produce things that you cannot imagine. And there was an art, I don't have a picture. A art was created by a AI system that was sold for some $450,000 auction. Picasso, right? So that's something amazing. So here is a link. You can go, you'll see many such pictures being created. Okay, now let me take you back a little bit to what is machine learning. I mentioned it learns from data, doesn't need explicit programming, and it basically builds its model from the input and the output. So the machine learning, typical machine learning, is a discriminative technology. It is classifying things. It is telling, is it a cat or is it a dog? Okay, that's discriminating. Earlier example that I showed is a generative technology. It is creating something from nothing. Or in other words, if you have a function, f of x is y, figuring out the y from x is the job of one type, and figuring x from y is the other one. Okay? So here is an example that you have been using for many years. Your email, it knows how to do spam and not spam, and it has done fantastic job for you. It's a very good job it has done. You know what the example. And the other is image recognition. Just I'm giving some simple examples here. How to identify these cats that look so similar. Even I can be fooled. The machine does better than me. So as a matter of fact, in image recognition, now the machine capabilities have exceeded that of the human being. Okay? Not in machine translation yet, but they are challenging us in that. And recent breakthroughs, why I call this as the new AI, I mentioned, deep learning networks. And Dr. Murthy mentioned about the Indian languages translation, that is, work is happening. And Google has done a lot of these stuff already. And, here is an example for Chinese, I believe. I don't know even what language it is. But the breakthroughs have been happening, and for a decade now about. Similarly, everyday example, you are in a machine, you are drawing money from your ATM, and already there are AI algorithms working behind the transaction, and you know how they evaluate unusual activity and all that. Okay, moving on. Computer vision. I mentioned historically how things have progressed, and we first understood the image recognition, and then how we exceeded. The machines exceeded humans on image classification, and now object detection is possible even on our cell phone. Okay, it is looking at so many different things. I take a picture. Now it can identify objects within them, which is a different problem than just saying, is it a cat or a dog? Remember that. So, but related, of course. And I mentioned AI. So it's not a single technology. So AI, neural networks, etc., are, of course, one part of AI. But all of these are connected. The world is progressing as it is doing because of these various components that are connected together. That's the only point of my slides, my slide here. You should keep in mind. So security, communication, silicon, systems, all of that is so important. Now, deep learning example, just to give you a little feel for it. Classical machine learning will determine the features, okay, and you determine the features, and then you feed through the system. It'll tell you, okay, this person is, okay, Arjun, okay. Then deep learning is something, it is itself figuring out what's important. You don't tell him, oh, the distance between the eyes or eye centers are something important. You don't tell it anymore. It just knows, figures it out. So, and that's where the neural networks, the hidden layers, so input, output layer, everything else is called hidden layers, okay? That's where hierarchical processing and higher level reasoning that is happening. A little bit about brain. I told you how brain, inspired a lot of work in this area. I'm not going into all the components of the brain right now, but they say we have about 86 billion neurons in our head. Each neuron is a computing element, just like a transistor in a silicon system we have. So that's the computing element, and that has certain properties. Okay, so it has the dendrites where it receives inputs and it computes certain axon or pulses, and then it transmits to the axon terminals. At the axon terminals, it connects to other neurons through synapses, okay? And all these are connected, and that's how we have the cognitive power. How we represent that in mathematics and hence algorithms is indicated by the right-hand picture that I'm showing. How we mimic what the brain is doing. Still, remember, if you recall, I mentioned spiking networks. The traditional deep neural networks do not take timing into account. It's all done at a clock step. It's not asynchronous. Our brain is asynchronous. So spiking networks bring in that element of time into processing. Just keep a little bit of. So I told you about the brain. The research was done in areas. These Nobel laureates. In medicine, they discovered the hierarchical processing, and that's what led to some of the ideas of hierarchical networks we are building today. Okay, now let's look at the broad picture where the applications. As you can see, there are so many industries that have been impacted or possibly can benefit from deep learning. Here are some examples. Many of them are already familiar with you. Voice search, maps, self-driving car and stuff, machine translation. Investment portfolio management, for example, it is. Healthcare diagnosis, whether your lungs has a cancer lump or not, that can be determined by this. Of course, speech recognition and industrial maintenance and sports, even in the sports, which is a craze in some advanced, developed countries. I shouldn't say advanced at all. They may not be advanced. So developed, so-called developed countries, sports craze, and there are a lot of things happening there. You can see from my slide. Anyway, so AI has presence today in your life. So you use it all the time, consciously or unconsciously. Here are some examples. I'll just skip through because for lack of time. Welcome to have a discussion with me later or during the panel or however in future. Is okay. So natural language, object detection, of course social media. Social media today, Facebook, for example, can determine from what you wrote or the mood that you have. Remember, at the end of the conference, we will give you a survey to fill out, a survey questionnaire to everybody. I hope it was announced. But one day will come when we don't give you any more questionnaire. We just pass you, we have our cameras. We figure out all the answers you had in your brain for our questions. We know your mood, how you felt about the lunch or a talk. Okay, that's where it is going to come. Okay, transformative changes in health, enhanced diagnostics, drug discovery. I mentioned patient care, for example, is a fantastic. Sensory aids, meaning those who are blind, AI is applied so that the proper areas of the brain can be stimulated. That will give you the image perception. I mean, that's such a fantastic thing, right? In the area who have blindness could appreciate that. Similarly, industry, factory automation, predictive maintenance. Predictive, before something fails, you are ready to take care of that so that you can have a 5-9 availability, they call. Okay. Field automation, finance, folks of that area, I already, algorithmic trading is a big thing in some of the countries. I guess also it would be in India. Energy sector, it is heavily, leveraging now AI. Government, defense, war games was mentioned earlier. And defense is, of course, has a lot of applications in that. Of course, hopefully, ethical AI is something that also we are careful about. Transportation, we use many. I will just pass through some of this. One example, you can use, for example, image detection and image comprehension now to detect abandoned luggage, and that has many implications, why that is important. So this is some ideas to spur in your head, in your areas, where can you improve? How can you help the country, progress in some areas like that. Okay, so Industrial Revolution. Now, you seem like we are here, right? How did we come there? So if you look at, Industrial Revolution 0.0, and now we are entering 4.0. That's the IR4 they call. I'm not going into the details. So bottom line is we are now in the age of cognitive or the knowledge economy. And World Bank said that for this knowledge economy that we are entering, that's our future, there are 4 major pillars, okay? And education and training, that's our work, is the fundamental thing. What is interesting is, not only this is one of the pillars, without this pillar, all the rest are useless. If we didn't build the workforce, if we didn't train our people, our teachers, our students, I think it will be not very much of sense. So the role that you have as either professors or as students is that much critical for the knowledge economy. Let's look at the potential. What is the potential of this knowledge economy? They are estimating that it is about $100 trillion, okay, of digital economy transformation that will bring. There are some areas where there would be job losses. You know, AI is impacting a lot of things that are repetitive, things where only a single skill set would be used. They would be at risk in that perspective. But then many more are getting created. So we need to train our workforce to adapt to this new world. As a matter of fact, some people, some very smart people think that it could be three kinds, I forget. They say either we are working for the machines, some people will work for the machines, some will work with the machines, some people would work on the machines. Okay? Those are the categories that you will have in future. That's it. So we are hoping, we are the guys who will be working on the machine, will be creating the future of AI. That is what we should aspire to and do. That's what I'm hoping. But this is how it would be distributed. So there is fantastic opportunities. How do we take those opportunities? So this is a global view. There are all these important areas in machine learning, computer vision and all the gesture control, speech, and all these areas that I'm showing. Look globally what is happening. There are quite a good number of players that are involved. This is something you can see from anything we post on the web. I'm not going into any more deep. But let's talk a little bit about the AI scene in India. Okay. In India, India happens to be apparently the fifth largest, fifth country that has the largest number of startups that are AI based. That is something very interesting, right? So what are the areas they are working on? Some are AI first companies. Everything is based on AI. There are very few in India. Like, let's say, Amazon and some other companies in the other places. We are not there. But human-assisted AI companies, AI second companies are a lot, okay, most of them. Then infrastructure, AI building blocks, they are also few in India today. But Dr. Murthy mentioned how the platform would be created. Once we have that, we can claim that we have the infrastructure. We are AI infrastructure nation. That's a very important one as well. Okay. Anyhow, I should move on. I have only maybe 10 more minutes, so let's 8 more minutes. Neuromorphic computing. I thought that I being a hardware architect, system architect, I should at least mention some hardware. I don't know how many of you are interested in hardware, but all of this is happening because something is doing the job for you. Okay? The magic is happening somewhere down there. So those are the silicons and systems that are being built by companies like Intel, IBM, Google and Apple or whatnot. So, okay. So there is a neuromorphic computing chip that was made by one of my old previous research teams. That's, you can see 128 neuromorphic cores supporting 128K neurons. They are built from scratch to be like the brain, cognitive power, okay? They are not your ordinary CPUs that you have seen in the past. So they have certain qualities such as that I mentioned that are critical for them becoming the cognitive machines. This is a Google Tensor processing unit, TPU, that is, I'm just showing, I'm not going into. One of the most important thing is how they are using a matrix multiply unit. Matrix operation is the fundamental operation in a machine learning system. So, that's I'm pointing out, that becomes the big one. Memory hierarchy is not important. So we are removing memory hierarchies. Rather use more number of computing elements that will do things in parallel. That's the change in architecture that's happening. Some people think, oh, okay, is big data AI? No, they're related. Big data is the input and AI is the engine that processes that, okay? And big data is typically characterized by, the 3 V's, now they're 4 V's, 5 V's. Anyway, volume, velocity, and variety, okay? You can see what characterizes big data. It's not your ordinary structured data that you have in your AI tables, for example. It's very different, okay? And veracity is another coming because of the security and other things. Authenticity of the data is also very important. Anyhow, so that's the connection loosely, quickly, big data. And there is a concept of deep reinforcement learning used in robotics a lot. Here is an example where a computer is playing the game of a Atari game called Flipboards, okay? How the system relies on rewards and penalties. Like it will give you rewards or take away your rewards. That's and only that, and given inputs and outputs, many cycles of it, it figures out exactly how it should play, or how exactly it should play table tennis with a human being. It figures it out. So it's amazing. So anyhow, and then some applications, IoT-based healthcare system. I'm not going into that, but you see, just from the picture, you should get an idea as to how, where you could bring in your research and work and where you can improve. But I will keep going because there isn't some couple of slides I wanted to point out. So higher education, I wanted to say, AI is applied to higher education. Now, science research is entirely, now AI systems can do a scientific procedure from beginning to end. It comes with a hypothesis, it comes with the experiments, it runs the experiments, it analyzes them, and then it reworks new experiments and then revalidates the hypothesis and comes with a conclusion. Entire thing, what you are teaching a PhD scholar here, okay, is done by AI. And of course, plagiarism, things like checking, all that AI is being used higher education. There are connections like networking. Networking is an area that could benefit from AI techniques. So Office of Naval Research, for example, is asking for proposals how to improve that. So there are connections between the fields. So that's, remember, interdisciplinary stuff. I was going to talk about a hype cycle where what are the top technologies. Just it's an eye chart. See how, hypes build up. Then we have a trough of disillusionment. We think that it will do everything in the world. It doesn't do. We immediately lose our, confidence in a technology. Every technology goes through that cycle. That's the key. Okay? And then finally, there is this plateau of productivity is when actually it becomes useful day to day for everybody, and it has changed the world for the better at that point. And today, look at which technologies have the highest expectations. That is hype. They are thinking it will do so many great things. That is what it is showing. Okay, then this slide is simply telling you areas where you can do research that are missing things, okay? Again, I don't have time to go through all of these. I told you about GANs, and GANs can be applied to text comprehension so that you can actually create systems that will create poetry, create, even research papers that will look as if it came from a human being. That's something, that you could work on. Anyhow, so explainable AI. Often the weakness of our AI today is AI could produce that human-looking picture I showed you. It was not a person. But they have not told us clearly, explain, how did the machine do that? What is it that the machine learned that is not well known. So explainable AI is going to be an important area going forward. Any research breakthroughs would be fantastic in that area. And some more I'm mentioning, like fairness, safety, these properties that we always discuss in computer science, in distributed systems, real-time systems, those are not yet discussed. AI, it does this job, we are happy. It found a cat versus dog. But there are many more questions that we typically ask as scientists and engineers. That has to be answered. Okay, finally, this is going to be my pretty much last slide. I know we have government, senior government officials here. We have academicians. We have industry leaders. I wanted to show the interplay between these three functions in any society. How academia creates knowledge, for example. Knowledge transfer is the primary objective of the industry. And government is the enabler, incentives provider and enabler of and policymaker around this. So they have their own major roles. Of course, always there is some crossovers. That's fine. But these are the major roles. So it's important all the three parties actually come together and solve these major problems and major opportunities that we have in front of us. We can discuss another time a lot more, but that's all the takeaway from these slides. And then some questions and concerns that I have. Don't think that I'm totally bullish on AI. Everything is honky-dory and we're all good. I have some tough questions to ask in that area. And here are some of them, just so you know. And finally, I want to say, AI will change the world. Who will change AI? Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for such a motivational talk. If you have any question, then you can ask.
Yeah, I can take a couple of questions, then we break for, no, we don't break. We go to the next talk, actually. So we can keep it short. Do you have any questions for me now? Yes, please go ahead. Speak up, or is there a mic somebody can give him? Okay. Okay, or come up. I can't hear you otherwise. Okay, okay, good. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, I'm listening. Go ahead.
Sir, there is this website called the School of AI. Sir, different education websites, then a normal student like me, who is, suppose somebody who is not exposed to it, can you just go and log in and get all the programs from the website and say that I'm well educated in the field of AI?
Oh, there are certificates given by people. There are micro degrees and micro certificates. That's that has become a side business for some entities. That helps, but that is probably not sufficient because you are going to be an engineer. So for skill upgradation, it is a reasonable thing, but not for somebody who is learning, like a student who is coming and learning. I think it is fairly inadequate, is my opinion. Even if it is a good site. And there are sites which are bad, of course, they teach you nothing. That's a different question. But even if they teach, it is for skill upgradation, skill modification. That can be really useful. Some working person works all day in the at his company or government, he goes in the night and studies. Yeah, that can be useful. Okay. Is that all? Is that okay?
Excuse me, sir. Sir.
Yeah, oh, okay. Yeah, one more. Go ahead.
Hello. Sir, it was a very good talk from you. And sir, you mentioned the Gartner's hype cycle that every technology has to go through. I mean, everybody is now very certain that AI has the disrupting capability in every potential industry. But and the hype cycle is also very relevant to AI. And so do you believe that at the moment AI is more of a hype than in applied reality?
So if you looked at that hype cycle, you will see the peak. So some areas of AI, not all. So AI has several components to them. Some areas at their most hyped. Hype simply means expectation. And that expectation may not be accurate to the reality, meaning what is really implementable in the field widely, that is the benchmark we have. If you are not there yet, so for example, if you have only built one transistor, you cannot claim that you will really build a system, because it takes billions and billions of transistors to build one chip, forget about a system. So similarly, the expectations exceed sometimes the reality. That's why you have this trough of disillusionment. And then real good technologies, they'll taper off and it comes to the flat land, where widely the society benefits the greatest. People don't have to know exactly and still they are getting the benefits. Yeah.
Yeah, hi, I'm Moshumi. I shared our paper yesterday, so maybe we can discuss about it later. But just a quick question. So if I understood your presentation, the application of AI, which I saw also from previous presentation, was mostly in the industrial mechanical areas. So what have you come across on the applications of AI in the services sector? So can you give some examples, or I don't know if I missed something in the presentation. Thank you.
Yeah, I probably have skipped some and I did not include everything. And when you say services, if you view education, I don't know as a service or not, it's not a typical industry anyway. So I showed you some higher education. I cut down a lot of slides, but you can talk to me offline. So transportation services, for example, is a major, like aging. Aging is a large issue. How do we take care of them? How do we provide, take them to different care centers, keep them busy? How you can use AI to optimize all of that and give a full life to elderly people? Could be a service domain. Similarly, I can think of many, but we can have a chat offline.
Sorry, has a question.
Oh, okay, one more, last, okay.
Yeah, sir, actually I teach about the social implications of information technology in the MBRM, the UMG programs. And I have a very simple question. I don't know, like last 45 years, the unemployment is at the highest as far as the NSSO data is concerned. So what will be the effect of AI and automation on employment levels? It's going to increase, decrease, remain the same, or the jury is out on that?
So my personal take on it is that it's going to be a dynamic thing. So there would be periods. So it's not a static snapshot, increase, decrease, or we cannot say. Depends on which slice of time you are looking at. Okay, so it's going to change. So it's in the net result, it would be more happiness for the people, I believe. Okay, but don't say jobs. Maybe somebody is happy, doesn't have to work, doesn't have a job, but everything is taken care of. So, I mean, they don't have to necessarily work. Maybe one day will come, mostly will be enjoying on the beach. I'm just kidding, but so that is okay. So effectively, we have to have the right measure also. And my last point is that Dr. Murthy might be the best person to answer this question. We have a question answer session also. We can take on some of these so that we don't eat the other into the other presentations. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now I am inviting Professor Monalisa Mandal to introduce the new talk.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to thank our Dean of Research and School of Computer Science and Engineering for the interesting information he shared, and really it was a thought-provoking talk. Our next speaker is an associate professor in Computer Science and Technology Department at Manav Rachana University, Faridabad. She has over 13 years of experience, including academics and research. Her research area includes data mining, decision support system, machine learning, and pattern classification. Also, she is associated with the project Virtual Labs, an initiative of Ministry of Human Resource Development under the National Mission of Education through ICT as a nodal coordinator with the IIT Delhi. Today, she is here to share her view on machine learning in image classification. Starting with the fundamental concept of machine learning, she will be explaining deep learning and relationship between machine learning, deep learning, and AI, followed by concept of supervised learning, neural networks, and CNN. Lastly, a few case studies of image classification like breast cancer, diabetic retinotherapy, etc., where CNN are being used will be discussed to conclude. So I would like to take the privilege of calling her on the podium. Let's welcome her, Dr. Mrinal Pandey.
This one? Yeah, this one. Is this the one?
Let me, sorry, hold on.
That one, sir?
Yeah.
Very good afternoon to all of you. So since morning we have learned about artificial intelligence, machine learning, and applications of machine learning. Now I have selected my topic machine learning for today's talk. As we have seen, machine learning is a branch of artificial intelligence. In this particular talk, I'm trying to explain how machine learning can be implemented. So these are the few topics we are going to cover in this presentation. Introduction with the machine learning, which we have already covered in, since morning we have covered lots of things in machine learning. Then applications of machine learning, classification of some techniques of machine learning, supervised learning, then steps to follow in machine learning techniques, how to handle a machine learning problem. Further, performance at task in T is measured by performance P, which improves with the experience E. In a first glance, it seems to be difficult to understand this particular definition. As Sir has already talked about spam classification, I have taken the same example for understanding this particular definition. So here task T can be considered as classification of email, whether it's a spam mail or not. Classes can be taken as yes or no, whether it's a spam mail or not. Then experience is the training data. It means, for example, our Google, if we talk about Google spam filter, it has been already trained for identification of a particular email, whether it's a spam mail or it's a regular mail. Then performance P, here for the simplicity, I have taken accuracy of the classifier, or accuracy of the model, how correctly emails can be classified. So the expectations from the machine learning algorithm is performance should be increases as the training data increases. These are the few applications we have already discussed in previous slides. in previous presentations for natural language processing, machine translation, and speech recognition. Some application in computer vision where we can identify the object in a particular image. Then some handwritten character recognition or digit recognition, face recognition, optical character recognition, fingerprint identification. Then some data mining application related to the machine learning techniques, fraud detection, weather prediction, finance prediction related to stock market. Some applications in business intelligence can be considered for decision making scenarios. And finally, recommender system. We all are aware of this recommender system for the, for example, Amazon.com, or we can also take another example your YouTube. Classification of machine learning technique, broadly classified into 4 categories: supervised learning, semi-supervised learning, unsupervised learning, and reinforcement learning. Today I am focusing on supervised learning. So I'll show you detail in supervised learning later. Supervised learning is basically, in supervised learning we have data with us and output with us. Data and output is processed by the machine learning algorithm, which identifies the relationship between data and the expected output, and it is used for the prediction or classification for the new items or new instances. In the example of supervised learning, you can say classification and regression. In unsupervised learning technique, we have data with us. It's descriptive in nature. It means whatever data we have, we can derive some conclusion from them, or we can find some new pattern from that data. For example, is clustering of similar kind of objects on the basis of some similarity matrix. Then reinforcement learning. Sir has already covered about the reinforcement learning in robotics applications and game programming. Then semi-supervised learning. Semi-supervised learning is basically combination of both supervised learning and supervised learning and unsupervised learning. What happens in real life scenario when we deal with the web data? Sometimes we may or may not have class labels. In that particular case, supervised learning is useful. Initially unsupervised learning can be used for grouping of the data, for clustering of the data, and for identification of the labels for that particular data, and for supervised technique can be data. So this is the supervised learning. We have input with us and corresponding output with us. Both are processed with the machine learning algorithms, and which is used to identify new instances, unseen instances, to find new class labels, their corresponding new class labels. This is the methodology, how supervised learning works. So we have input with us and label with us. The next step is extraction of feature. Features can be extracted from the input data, and after extraction of feature, filtered input and training labels can be processed using the machine learning algorithm. In the second phase, which is testing phase, in testing phase again features can be extracted and corresponding output can be extracted through developed model or through some developed classifier. These are the basic steps we need to follow in order to solve our machine learning problem, starting with the data collection. Your data may be primary data or it may be secondary data. Primary data which we collect from various surveys or some Google forms, and secondary data some data are available on websites like UCI repository, and many more sites are available for data for research purpose. Next step is data pre-processing. In data, lots of work needs to be done in this particular area. because our data are not processed data, it's raw data. We have to identify the missing values. We need to input values, appropriate values for that, and data may be from different sources. So we need to do lots of pre-processing before proceeding. Next step is feature selection. Feature selection is itself a big research problem in machine learning or in data mining, because suppose I have 1000 features in my particular data set and I need to extract 35 features in for my problem, then there is a need to extract the features. How we'll select our features, potential features, so that we can develop our classifier up to the mark. So there are so many feature selection techniques in machine learning. There are ranker methods, wrapper methods, we can use correlation analysis, we can use PC analysis, and many more. The next step is division of data into training data and testing data. The entire data can be divided into two groups, training data and testing data. However, the convention is the ratio of 70 and 30%, but sometimes we can use 60-40 also for our experiments. It may be possible if we want to create some data for validation, then this particular data set can be divided into 3 parts, 70% for training data set, 30% for 30% for testing data set, and 10% for validation testing. Next is model evaluations. Model can be, once our training data is, we are ready with the training data, then model can be evaluated on the different parameters like true positive rate, false negative rate, accuracy, confusion matrix, precision, recall, and there are so many parameters for evaluation of generated model. The last step is cross-validation. If we are not using our data set as a validation data set, then we can use cross-validation. In cross-validation, k-fold cross-validation is a most popular technique where the entire data set is divided into 10 subsets, and each time one set is used as a testing set and remaining k-1 data set is used as a training set. So these are the typical steps need to be followed while working with supervised learning or machine learning. Artificial neural network, it has been already covered by sir, so I'm just skipping. I'm just actually I just want to share with you classification in image classification. That's why I keep these 2 slides in my presentation to just know about the introduction of the artificial neural network. So initially single layer perceptron was there with the inputs and some weights associated with this, and with the activation function and expected outputs. This is the again example of multi-layer neural network where we have number of nodes, input nodes, output nodes, and hidden nodes. And weights are associated, activation function is required, feed forward and back propagation, so many kinds of neural networks are there. Now the next is deep learning. What is deep learning? Deep learning is actually combination of layers, a bunch of layers with combination of layers and bunch of layers. There are number of layers between inputs and input layer and output layer. So the question arises, why do we need deep learning? Because it is already based on neural network, and neural network has been existing since so long. Then why deep learning is required, and what is new in the deep learning? So we in neural network we had some algorithms. Those are good for hidden layer 1 and 2, but not their performance were not so good for higher layers. That's why the concept of deep learning comes into existence. So this is the difference between machine learning and deep learning. This slide is again, sir has already mentioned such kind of thing in his slide. So what we can say, if I'm talking about the image classification, the input is given as a car. While working with the machine learning, I need to extract number of features from image, or you can say in the form of a matrix. Then further this can be classified using the neural network, and further the output, we can receive output in the terms of whether it's a car or not a car. But when we work with the deep learning, the beauty of deep learning is the automatic feature extraction. So that is why it is becoming popular nowadays. How it works, how deep learning works, how it can be implemented in image classification, that will be that I'm going to share you. So this is the graph where we can see the performance of deep learning is much higher than the most learning algorithm as the amount of data increases. Another graph shows the usage of deep learning and machine learning, particularly in US, since 2004 till 2018. Here, blue stripe represents the usage of machine learning, and the red stripe represents the deep learning, uses of deep learning. Now, how neural network, multi-layer neural network work, means how deep learning works. Initially, first layer, train the first layer, then another layer, then another, and finally last. So we can have n number of layers. I'm going to show you how many layers are being used nowadays for image processing or image analytics. Now let us come to the CNN. What is CNN? Deep learning in image classification can be implemented through CNN, which is known as convolutional neural network, or simply ConvNet. So it's a special kind of multi-layer neural network designed to recognize visual pattern directly from the pixel images with minimal pre-processing. It means automatic feature extraction can be done through this architecture. Now there have been lots of CNN architecture have been introduced over the years, starting from LENet, AlexNet, VGG, GoogleNet, RSNet, and many more architectures are there. This is the evolution of architecture since 1998. We can see if I'm not going to explain the entire table, I'm just focusing on CNN and top 5 error rates. Initially, the error rate was 15.3, and if we talk about in 2015, it was reduced to 3.6%. Here we can see initially in 2010 we can see this is the evolution of architecture of CNN. Initially in 2010 and 11, the CNN architecture was used with the shallow layers, and after that we can see AlexNet was introduced in 2012 with the 8 layers. Then further its error rate was reduced in 2013 with the 11.7. Further, VGG was introduced in 2014 with the 19 layers, and GoogleNet introduced CNN with the 22 layer, which is extendable up to 152 layers. This is the performance of CNN architecture. Inception V4 we can see Inception V4 having the highest performance rate with the 80%. Now let us come to the detail or technical detail of the CNN. This is an example. As I have told you earlier, we have a bunch of layers in CNN architecture or in deep learning. So in CNN, we have input layer, output layer, and between input and output layer, there are 3 kinds of layers. First is convolutional layer, and after each convolutional layer, there is a pooling layer. Then pooling layer, we may have another convolutional layer, then tooling layer, and then finally fully connected layer. So convolutional layer is basically responsible for feature extraction. How? We can see. It extracts feature from the images. Convolution is basically filtering the image with the smaller pixel filter to decrease the size of the image without losing the relationship between pixels. As we know, in any image, pixels are related to each other. So we can find same kind of features we can extract same kind of features from that particular image. So there is a convolution of 5 into 5 pixel image, which was filtered with the 3 by 3 pixels and with this stride of 1 by 1 pixel, and finally we get the matrix in the form of 3 by 3. Next is pooling layer. It reduces the spatial size of the image. We have a number of pooling techniques. In this particular image, we have used maximum pooling technique. As we can see, there are 4 quadrants in the image. We can take a maximum value from this, and finally image is reduced into 2 by 2. Then last is fully connected layer. Fully connected layer is nothing but our traditional neural network. So as we can see, we have seen in machine learning, we need to follow so many steps. In that particular thing, feature extraction was a crucial step while we working with the machine learning, but in deep learning we can skip this particular step here because it automatically extracts the features. There are few case studies I have included in my presentation. This is the handwritten number recognition, which is MNIST data set. There are 10 classes from 0 to 9 class labels. During the pre-processing, we normalize the image into RGB color coding to 255. Then in this particular data set, 60,000 training samples were used and 10,000 testing image sets were taken from the American Census Bureau employees and American high schools. And the accuracy achieved by this experiment is 98.5%. This example here, data set and label is the image of data set and label. Further, CNN was used and would be able to identify the numbers, handwritten numbers. This was the typical CNN for MNIST data set. So as we can see, as I have told you earlier about the convolutional layer, which is used to extract the feature. So we can see initially 5 by 5 convolution layer were used to identify the feature maps, and 32 by 32 image was converted into 22 into 22 during the C1 layer. And after that, pooling was performed and features were reduced up to 14 to 40 pixels. Then further C2 layer, another convolutional layer were introduced and which extract the feature. Finally, again pooling layer was used, and finally we get the picture of 5 into 5, 5 cross 5. Then for the denser layer, initially we can have any number of neurons in the CNN network, but for the final denser layer, we need to have layers and we need to have neurons according to our classes. Suppose for this particular case, we have 10 classes, so I must have 10 neurons in my final denser layer so that it can clearly identify our class labels. Another study I have taken for diabetic retinopathy. The diabetic retinopathy is a medical condition that damages the retina of eye, which causes the blindness mainly due to acute diabetes. The longer a person has a diabetic, higher the chances of developing diabetic retinopathy. People with more than 20 years having the risk of 80% of diabetic retinopathy. So data has been collected from the Kaggle competition. Total number of images were 30,000. However, we have selected 1,000 images for our this particular research due to limitation of resources. There were 5 classes as no diabetic retinopathy, mild diabetic retinopathy, moderate diabetic retinopathy, severe diabetic retinopathy, and proliferative diabetic retinopathy. During the data pre-processing or normalization, the entire images were cropped into 128 by 128. Then for augmentation purpose, images were flipped horizontally, and we have taken from different angles, 90 degree, 120 degree, and 270 degree. The images were further converted into numbers using NumPy library of the Python for practical purpose. This was the architecture for diabetic retinopathy. Initially pre-processing were done, then image mirroring, conversion of matrix using NumPy library, then further it was fed into the CNN network and classified as in 5 classes. However, results were not very good, but we'll try our best to improve our results. So number of epochs were taken and learning rate were taken as in performance measures in this particular experiment. And we achieved 74% of accuracy with the 0.001 learning rate for 35 epochs. Another case study is related with the breast cancer. The breast cancer is the second common cancer worldwide. The breast cancer is the second common cancer in women and a major cause of the death. The men and women both can have breast cancer, but it is 100 times more in women. For this particular study, mammography can be used. It's a good scanning. Mammography is a specialized medical imaging that uses a low-dose X-ray system for scanning the breast. So in this study, data from Kaneshiki Medical Center, there were 3,018 negative and 272 positive mammogram exams. There were 2 classes, whether it's cancerous or not. Again, for data processing, original image was flipped horizontally and deflected with the 90 degree, 180 degree, and 270 degrees. These were the first one is the original image of the mammogram, and another one is the augmented data. Typically, LXNet and RSNet, 2 architecture were used in this particular study. This is the comparison of LXNet, results of the LXNet and RSNet. You can see at learning rate 0.001, dropout was 0.25, and for L2 regularization beta was considered as 0.001, and for optimizer 0.985 was considered. And for RSNet 50, 0.001 was the learning rate, dropout was 0.5, 0.001, 0.985 was the Adam optimizer value. These are some software and hardware for implementation of recommended software and hardware for this image processing or image analytics, I must say. So, deep learning library can use TensorFlow, Teflon, Keras. Machine learning, as a machine learning library, we can use Skleton-Learn. For image processing library, Pillow 3.4.2, PyDecom, Skleton images. For mathematics, NumPy, and it would be better if we can use NVIDIA GPUs for image processing. So that's all from my side.
Any question from the audience? No? So thank you, Dr. Pandey, for taking time to share your knowledge with us. We are already going out of time, so we'll take a quick lunch break, and we'll be back by 2:15. Until then, keep making network and 2. Okay, we'll be back by 2. And till then, keep making network and share your knowledge. Thank you.
Okay, you all must have got a feedback form as we plan for new features in the upcoming Xavier AI events. We always like to reach out to you to gather some thoughts.